live on Facebook and YouTube now, and TikTok. And now you just gotta find me. See all these everybody. I'm like,
I found you.
I'm just looking at the questions.
Do you see me?
Oh, let me find you. And there you are. I just invited you. Okay.
We did it.
Yeah, we got our picture up there, so she's not looking like
A caterpillar.
yeah. Okay, so now can on your phone, can you turn your phone volume all the way down?
Got it.
Perfect. I think we're ready to go. Yay! Okay, so you guys know our technical stuff in the beginning. So, um, hi everyone. For you guys that don't know, my name is Amy Bacon. I sell real estate in Texas, Greater Austin, Texas, and in Alaska. I also specialize in remote areas in Alaska. And also, I'm a speaker, coach, and a trainer. And I have with me today Ms. Peggy Young from Arizona. She's an amazing lady, and we are so happy that you joined us. Um, Peggy, do you want to just tell everybody a little bit about you?
Sure. I have a diverse background. Actually, I was born and raised in South America in Venezuela. And as a young adult, I moved to Anchorage, Alaska, which is where I met Amy. Um, I went from one extreme hot weather to cold weather. And I lived in Alaska 25 years. I started my real estate career in Alaska, and I moved to Arizona in 2008. But before that, I have two children. I have a daughter who has two little boys, so I have two grandkids, and they live in Houston, and my son lives in New York. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I moved here in 2008, and I moved here. I didn't know one person, and I moved here in the middle of the housing crash. I had been in real estate for 12 years. I have now been in real estate almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in March, and 18 of those years are here. We're here in Arizona. So I've now sold longer in Arizona than I did in Arizona, and then I did in Alaska, which blows my mind. But
Sorry, that was me.
so that's just a little bit about me. And I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, but I sell all over the Phoenix Valley. So I sell in a lot of different cities. I won't go as far as Tucson, but I do on the west side, Glendale, Goodyear, Peoria, Sun City. On the east side, I do Scottsdale, Chandler, Mesa, Gilbert. I go as far south as Maricopa, the city of Maricopa, as far north as Anthem. So I do have a wide territory, and I can go. I've been selling a lot since I arrived here to Alaskans who um, are snowbirds, because it's a great place to come in the winter, because our winters are incredible. And that's pretty much a little bit about me.
That's awesome. Wow. So you know what? I mean, I knew, of course, that's how I met you from Alaska, but I didn't realize that you had merged during the crash, and so that's really big. So people already knew you, and then now you're going to a new city and everything. I mean, I remember because I got in. I see 2008 when I got into real estate, and I remember you didn't even want to tell anybody you sold real estate because they were feeling sorry for you so bad. you
Yeah,
know.
and I moved here and I didn't know one person. And so, I came from a very small community in Anchorage, and so I was used to knowing everybody. I had a big sphere of influence, and I moved here and I didn't have any sphere of influence. It was weird to me, like, to go to the grocery store and not have people say hello to me because I didn't know them. So it's taken a long time. One of the ways I got back in the market here, not knowing anyone, is I realized there was a connection between Alaska and Arizona. And so I did the best thing I could do was to market to those agents in Alaska and get their business here and have them refer their business. So my business is really primarily referral based, but I didn't know one person, and every other house was for sale. It was either a short sale or a foreclosure. We had lots of different, issues back then, but I somehow just jumped in and did what I had to do.
A lot of people know what a short sale is, but I remember that having to learn to do short sales and having to partner with people, and it was hard. It took you like, I don't know, 6 months to get somebody to respond to you, and even then, some of them didn't. The banks didn't know how to do it or didn't know. It was a lot. Where now it's like you do a short sale, it doesn't take so long. But man, I remember going through the market shifting and just going through some very difficult things. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them I remember would take about a year to close in the beginning. And then as time went on and people got better and better at them, the banks learned how to handle them and all that. We were closing them like in as short as 2 months.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a whole different ball game. And, in the beginning, I remember doing like a search for someone and eliminating short sales because they didn't want to wait. And so we had other properties to look at. And then later, as we went on, you couldn't eliminate them because they were all short sales. So it was definitely a challenging time. One of the things it taught me was resilience, and it also it because I started to show properties all over the valley. It really made me learn the city. I came from Anchorage, where I knew east was where the mountains were. And I didn't, drive on these big freeways. And, I remember living in Anchorage and not even wanting to show an Eagle River. I thought that was too far. And, all of a sudden I'm here and I'm driving probably as far as, past Wasilla and into, I don't know, into whatever's after that, um, so it really, I was boots on the ground and I just really jumped into it. And that's the one thing it really taught me was the different areas. Um, and this was like, you have to remember, this was in 2008. Our GPSs weren't as great as they are now. They were not on our phone. I would have to like print out MapQuest and hope to God I didn't make the wrong turn, because then if I made the wrong turn, I was lost. And then sometime, and I did have the old fashioned GPS on my car, but it didn't recognize gates and stuff. And so sometimes it would take me into a neighborhood, but it wasn't the front gate, and I had to figure out, oh, okay, where is the front gate? So it was chaotic at times, but I was really lucky and I just worked through it. It was definitely, it made me stronger for sure.
Yes, it's kind of neat that you did go through some challenges. I mean, you're moving, the market is crashing, and everything's like short sale. And for you guys that don't know what a short sale is, basically a short sale is you owe more money than you can sell it for, and you put in an offer. You get an offer from buyers, and you ask the bank if they will take less money. And so that's what a short sale is, kind of summed up. But man, you went through some different difficult challenges there. But what's interesting is that you're like, well, you just adapted to it and just kept going. I mean, how did you focus your mindset? I mean, it had to be like a struggle mentally at times, because you're like, oh my God, is this going to get worse? How am I going to pay my bills? Should I go find another job? Like, I mean, this is what people are doing by the thousands. I mean, people got their license a few years ago because money was good. I find that there's a lot of realtors and nobody's selling. There's a lot of realtors that don't sell, they just have a license. But you're one that said, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna stick with it. How did you
I didn't really have a choice, right? I didn't have a choice. I had to sink or swim. And one of the things that happened is when I didn't mention this, is when I moved here, I thought, okay, I'm done with real estate. I don't want to sell. I want to be more in the back room. And so I did originally get a job with a relocation company as a relocation counselor. So it was within the industry, but it was an 8 to 5 job, and I was in a cubby, and it was a minimal salary. And I got there, I think I started in August of 2008. I got here in May of 2008. And in August, I started, and I got there and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like to be in a cubby. I don't like to be told when I have to go to work. I want to have some flexibility. And so I realized then that that was not me. And in fact, when I was interviewed for that job, one of the women that interviewed me said, Peggy, you're definitely qualified, overqualified for this position. She said, but, and I just have a fear that you are the kind of gal that wants to be in the trenches. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. I don't want to be in the trenches. I'm done with the trenches. I want a real job.
Yeah.
And I got there and realized very quickly that, yeah, I want to be in the trenches. And so basically, I actually I had spent all my money getting down here. And so I borrowed some money from my dad and I said, you know, it'll take me 3 months, and so I just jumped in and I had no other choice. It was either that or go back to the cubby, and I was not going to go back to the cubby. So
Yeah.
I realized that I need to be doing what I'm better at, not just settling for something else that was what I thought was easier, but it wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I mean, I didn't. I went places that, like, I remember going to somebody's house and it was like nighttime and I went in and he interviewed me and I went in his house and I remember thinking later, that was really dumb. Like, I didn't even know where I was or who that person was, and
Yeah.
I could have been killed or whatever, but I did whatever I had to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's scary sometimes when you don't know people, and but you're just like, I'm just gonna go do it. Well, that's pretty impressive.
It was on a whim, it was a spontaneous decision to move. I had wanted to move from Alaska for a long time. I love Alaska, and Alaska's been very, very, very good and dear to me. I had my daughter there. I mean, Alaska will always be part of my heart. But I didn't grow up in the snow. I didn't grow up in the cold, and I wasn't a skier, and so I, for a long time, knew that I wanted to move. And so, actually, when I was married and living there, every time we'd go on vacation, I'd apply for jobs wherever we went because I just felt like that wasn't where I belonged. But it was a good time. I was there 25 years. And it was good that I waited because then I found the right place. This is definitely my home. And I love the fact that there is a connection between Alaska and Arizona. And I still get to work with Alaskans, and a lot of my friends from Alaska come here in the winter. So, but
Yeah.
that's Alaskans are not my only clients. I also have local people, but that's just a friend of mine because you're from Alaska as well.
I know, and I've seen
So
you at conventions and had dinner with you with everybody, and I don't think I've ever seen
yeah,
you in Arizona,
no, you need to come.
Alaska, and at conventions.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's raining a little bit today, but let's see. It's 60 degrees. It's we have a 55% chance of rain, which is not a normal thing. We don't have a lot of rain normally, but our low is 58 and our high is 68. So um, it's a great. We usually have great weather in the winter. We might have like a week or two here or there that's really cold, but when I say really cold, it's 40 degrees.
Yeah,
you
that's not bad.
know, or 35 maybe, at the very coldest.
50 degrees is perfect for me. I mean, if I was,
Yeah.
okay, this is my happy, I'm happy. I pretty much can do anything at 50.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very hot in the summer. I mean, we go as high as 115, and people
That's
do
what I
ask
don't
me.
like all
Yeah,
that.
that's it's hot, and people ask me like, how do you deal with the cold? And I mean the hot, and I'm like, it's the same as dealing with the cold. When it's 10 below, what do? You don't go
Stay in the
jogging
house.
outside. You stay in the house. You go from your
Yeah.
heated house to the heated garage to the heated car, and so here it's the same thing. Everything is AC. Yeah, you're not going to go on a hike at noon on in July. You're just not going to do that. Or you also break it up like Alaskans or anybody in the winter states do, they leave and go to Hawaii for 2 weeks, or come to Arizona for 2 weeks, or go to Florida, wherever, if you break it up and take a break, it works. Or if you live in a winter state, this is just an ideal place to come here in the winter and stay where you live in the summer. So that's why we have a lot of snowbirds here.
Yeah. So is the market slow moving there? I know in Texas it's really slow in Texas, and then Alaska, of course, we don't have enough houses on the market. It's opposite, right? So how is it there?
We are definitely seeing increased amount of listings and increased amount of reductions. I have 8 listings right now, and getting some steady showings on some of them, but some of them I'm not at all. There's a disconnect, I think, between sellers who think it's 2021 and buyers who think it's 2008, and we're not at either one of those. So this year I have found, even though
I just got tickled just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's like we're at this disconnect. And I've closed 22 homes this year, but it feels like it just has been very flat. It's been slow moving. And I think it has to do with that disconnect. It also has to do with uncertainty in the world. And people still think, those interest rates are way too high, but they don't realize they're normal. They're not too high. 2.85 was not normal. But I feel like I'm starting to see a little move. I think 2026 will be a active market. We're pretty much, in some of our cities, we're buyer's market. In some of our cities, we're more of a balanced market, which had to happen. We were very lopsided before. I mean, in 2021, I sold 42 houses, and you had to give away your whole life to get a house. You had to waive inspections, waive appraisals, waive all this stuff. Now, buyers are actually able to buy. And I think that the message is, this is a good time for buyers, because if you're waiting for something to change, then there's going to be more buyers. Right now, sellers are very motivated. I just wrote an offer that got accepted yesterday, and I think we came in. My buyers got it like 15,000 under list and 1% towards closing costs. And they didn't bat an eye. I mean, they just did it. The problem is there are some sellers that are, digging in their heels and won't do that, but there are motivated sellers out there. And if you're a buyer and you wait, you're going to have more competition and less negotiation power, especially now. I don't know about other cities, but here I thought I had done that. Here between November and say January 10th, it really slows down anyways. So if you're a buyer and you're buying, if you come now, you're going to get a great deal.
Yeah.
Whereas if you wait, because our highest season is January through the end of April.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm seeing where the sellers are still paying buyer agent fees. I think I've had one person who bucked that, but I'm seeing that happen consistently, and I've seen it where people just walk away when the seller doesn't pay for it. I've seen that quite a bit this past year, and then I've seen. And I am seeing sellers pay closing costs and additional. So we are, it is definitely a buyer's market in a lot of areas, and it is a good time to go get you a house and not wait on the interest rates to drop so you can go fight everybody in the world. I remember that. I was like, I do not want to go show a house. I do not want to fight 100 people over a house. I just think that that's terrible. And you're just yeah, then you're going to get stuck in a house that you're fighting for, and then you're not even sure if it's a good house because you just hurried up and made a decision. And during that
Uh,
time too, I remember when having listings, because I have a lot more listings than I do the buyer side. But I can tell you where the buyers they'd write offers, and they'd write these really high offers, and then they didn't even know about what payment they had or anything, what the down payment or anything, and then they're backing out. And then I had that happen quite a few times. And so I do tell
yeah.
them, you need to get pre-qualified. You need to know what your payment's going to be, what your down payment's going to be, and your closing costs. You know, what your realtor charges, and all of that before you start looking for a house. Because if not, you're just, you're just going to be yeah, backing out, and it's going to be embarrassing. And not for that, it's not good for the seller, because then they take that hit and everybody goes, what's wrong with their house? Because it came back on the market. I recently just
Right.
had one like that, and I was like, wow, and they just outbid everybody, and then they back out on us. And I go, I just hate when that happens. So you do
Yeah.
be prepared before you go in, you know.
Yeah, and back then, I mean, I remember driving up to houses and there were lines to go inside. I mean, it was crazy. And that was just not sustainable. But yeah, if you're a buyer now and you buy now, you're going to probably get a better deal than if you wait until the interest rate drops, and then whatever savings you were going to get, you're going to have to add them back in to get the house. So, it's a I would say it's a good time to buy. Um and the interest rates have softened a little bit, so that helps. And it just, you're going to have more negotiation for sure.
Yeah. I have different people saying stuff, but I don't even know if it's worth even going down the road on some of these things. I'm just going through these questions here, if there's anything.
I have not had, while you read that, I have not had any seller deny paying the commission. In
Yeah.
some cases, they've said they don't want to pay the full 3%. And in some cases, the buyers picked up the difference. But I've never had anybody, and I haven't had any pushback from anybody not understanding, even like as a buyer, not understanding that what we offer has value and that we should get paid.
Yeah. I'm not sure why people think realtors shouldn't get paid when we have to work for months and all these things and all the classes and all the money that we have to split and pay out and stuff like that. But you do hear a lot of kickback on that. And I'm like, well, I guess you could always go represent yourself. And there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't represent yourself. But I don't even, I look at it like, if you don't like a realtor that much, you should just don't mess with the realtor. If that's not, we're not for you, then, go do your thing. I don't even take
Correct.
it personal anymore. I used to be like, oh, let me explain myself and my value. Oh yeah. Well, the first time you go to jail because you go and do something like, write an offer with a for sale by owner and tell them that you're gonna write it 20,000 over, and then the seller is gonna let you pocket the money, the 20,000 afterwards, and not tell anybody. You commit mortgage fraud. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you should have had a good realtor to explain all that kind of stuff to you, keep you out of trouble. And if I tell you, I can't tell you how many times in my career that I've had people go, "Oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's cut a corner here, that it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal." And so you do
Yep.
need people who know the law and can help protect you and keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's kind of like, you don't want to pay insurance, right? You're like, I have to pay this insurance. But
Yeah,
when you have an accident or something happens, you're pretty happy that you have that insurance.
right.
So, so sometimes, I mean, this isn't rocket science, and sometimes you could do a deal by yourself and be fine and not and come out fine. But when things go bad, that's when I mean, go really bad, and you need somebody that has survived and has been in the trenches, that knows how to get you out of it.
Exactly.
Um, and I think it's important to note that there's a lot of new realtors right now, and I'm happy for them, but you have to learn how to navigate and survive it. The agents that have survived all these different situations, they're very experienced. All those situations, every single situation is different. So the more experience you have, the better you're going to be.
Yeah. And not that you've been in it for 30 years, it's that you actually close deals every year. There's some people like, well, I've been in it for 30 years, but they can't even close more than 4 houses a year. If you're only closing
Exactly.
4 houses a year, which is they say the average realtor does, that's not very much learning you're doing. I'm not saying you're not, but yeah.
Exactly.
And I think
Okay.
if you're going to sell real estate, you need to get in and sell it, not just, oh, I'm going to keep it just so I can make somebody else's life miserable, because you don't know the rules and the laws and you don't know how to help them. And the only reason I say that is because there's so many times that I meet people and they're like, oh, I want to buy a house and I can't, and I go, why? And they start talking to me and I go, oh yeah, you can. Because there's all kinds of scenarios. And if you have a realtor who works full times and they're taking classes and they're educating themselves, they're going to know what programs are out there and they're going to know different strategies and things to help you. And, there's all kinds of things for different people. Sometimes there's no money down, right? There's times where you can get the seller to pay closing costs and there's no money down. And I've done that multiple times with people. They didn't have to have a dime. I mean, there's ways around it, but if you don't know somebody, and there's times that there's conventional loans for 3%. So and also every area is different. So, you look at Alaska where you have the HUD 184, you have a lower interest rate, they have a lot of, things for them. Veterans have the, no money down, they can buy more than one home. There are these different things. But if you don't have somebody who's learning the different loan programs, you're not, you may not be able to you might not be able to build your portfolio the way you'd like to or dream about. And so you
Well,
really,
yeah, that offer that I was talking about, these people were relocating from Dallas, and it was a referral to me from an agent. And when they first came to me, they said, we have a house to sell in Dallas, and so we're going to have to make a contingent offer, and we can't close until the end of January. So we go out on Friday, and they find the perfect house. And I said, I've written many hundreds of contingent offers, and in this market, you might get the offer accepted with a contingency, but their house wasn't even listed yet in Dallas. And I said, you're going in with your weakest foot. I said, you really need to talk to my lender, and I have an excellent lender that I've been working with for 18 years. And I said, talk to him and see what your options are. And it turned, and so they were going to actually write a full price offer, contingent. And they, because they talked to my lender, they were able to figure out a way that they could write the offer without making it contingent, closing in the middle of December, and then go down on the price and ask for concessions, which they would not have gotten probably had it been a contingent offer. And so, but they were convinced that that's all they could do because they didn't know. So they are now able
yeah,
to
'cause they
have
didn't.
this home. Yeah, and they would have probably lost the house because it was, even though the market is slower now, the really good, nice houses in good shape are still selling. So it was a nice house that wasn't going to be here for a long time. So they were able to secure it and get a better price and better terms. And now they're going to go sell their house and everything will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but you need to have a plan and you need to have somebody who can help you with the plan so you can win. Definitely.
Right.
Let me look at my questions. Sorry, it's because it's on my phone. I have to see if there's anything that I want to, respond to. I'm so not. I'm not so nice sometimes because sometimes people don't say nice things, and I'm like, I don't go on the bunny trails. Okay, I think they just tell me when somebody joins too. Maybe that's a question. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for joining. Um, so we talked a little bit about buyers and having a strategy and a plan or whatever, so you can get a good deal. So what would your advice be to sellers in a market right now? What would you for their house, getting it ready? Um, I mean, just what would your advice be?
Definitely put your best foot forward, right? So if you need, if make sure if there's any repairs or anything that need to be done that are going to make your house look bad, get those done. If there's painting, fresh paint, that kind of thing. Um, you know, um, if it's vacant, have it staged, declutter it. It just, and then hire a realtor, a professional realtor who takes professional photos, because so much of
Yeah.
our housing, so much of our purchases are done online. I mean, I have had many people who have bought sight unseen, even, so the photos that are on the MLS are so, so, so important. So hire a professional realtor who hires a professional photographer who also is very active on social media, because you have to promote the property. But the house has to look good online, because otherwise people are not going to go in it. And the houses that look like crap are still on the market. Houses that look good are the ones that are going to sell. So yes, sometimes that might cost you some money up front to get it ready to do that, but you'll get a lot more money in the end than if you just are lazy and just leave it the way it is, and it's dirty and messy. I mean, I showed a house yesterday. I previewed a home that was a nice home, but it definitely had the vibe that I'm abandoned. And it was dirty. It wasn't staged. So the pool looked like it was starting to turn green. No, those are all bad, bad, bad things, because you want people to come in your house or see it online and be emotional about it. Oh, I love that open. I love how open it looks. I love how clean it looks.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I think that you have to start with your best foot forward. You can't. It's hard to go back and change that. Don't go on the market until you're ready.
Yeah, that's good. I know in my career I've seen it so many times where the sellers are like, "Oh, I don't want to pay because, that way they can come in and think about how they would like to have it and we can give them an allowance or whatever." People say that and I go, it really doesn't work like that, because a lot, people don't want the potential. I mean, there are some people who do, but those people want a good deal and they're going to want to come down thousands and thousands of dollars. And so I'm with you, like, get it ready, get it the best you can, clean your baseboards. I would say that's the biggest thing. If I was to tell somebody, clean your baseboards, clean all the trim, if you're not a person who regularly does that, do that, clean it. I tell you right there, just having it super clean. If you can't afford staging, and I do realize in some of the lower 48, a lot of people include staging and stuff, or a little bit of staging and stuff like that. But if you can't afford staging, go get it clean and, paint it. And if you can't paint it, figure out a way that you can, or hire somebody or something. But don't go paint if you don't know how to paint either, because that looks terrible. And then don't
Yeah,
go
that looks.
put your floors in and decide you're going to learn how to do it yourself, laminate today. Because everybody can walk in and go, "Oh my God, who did that?" Like, seriously, I've seen it so many times. And I would say the other thing probably too would just be like the smell. If you still have furniture there, make sure you're changing your sheets at least once a week, especially your children's rooms. I always say that. Oh my God. I mean, how many times you walk into a teenager's room, you can't even walk in there because you can just smell. And sometimes you can't smell yourself, right? Because we have our smells that we're used to our smells. And so that's a really big thing. And here's the thing, you're like, "Oh," and this is what people say, "Well, oh, I'm just going to go put a noticeable in there," or what do you call it, Glade or whatever. Noticeable is when
That's
they
worse.
smells too. Oh yeah, because then it looks like it's stinky smell with another smell on top of it trying to cover it up. So something that smells, the baseboards, your bathrooms, everything clean. Yeah, declutter, declutter, declutter. I always say declutter everything. I tell them, I don't know what you do with your sellers, but I tell my sellers, you're allowed 3 things on the countertop and that's it. So you pick your 3 things and that's that, and then everything else got to go. And so that's
Yeah,
in everything the same way.
I think the smell is a really, really big one. I had a listing in my neighborhood, and it was an elderly couple, and it was very dated, and it was so cluttered. And and they didn't want to spend much money, but I had a professional come and clean the carpets, And then I had my cleaning lady. So we didn't even hire a stager, and their furniture is very outdated, but it's still there, right? So what I had her do is just go in and declutter it. I said, put whatever you want in the garage. And she did. And it completely changed, even though the furniture was still old and, it was still everything dated. It looked so much better. I had people come in saying, wow, you really did a change, because we just moved, but all we did was move stuff to the garage, and declutter the counters and stuff like that. And, cleaning the carpets helped with the smell and everything as well. Cause it smelled like it was just not used, it was just muggy because it had been, no one had been there for a long time.
The other thing is, and I've seen this a lot, and this is and the only reason I bring this up is because I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with sellers so many times, and they're like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And then they're going to end up later doing it my way because we can't sell it. And this is what they do is they smoke in their house, or they've allowed somebody else to smoke. And
Yeah,
then
it's
they're like,
bad.
I'm gonna go paint it, or I got such and such down the street. He only gonna charge me $1,000 to paint it, and or whatever. The thing is that you have to do more than just paint it. There's layers, and I'm not gonna get into all the expert stuff online of how you do that, but there is a system that you can do to get the smell out. But I have seen it so many times where I'm like, when people walk in, they can smell it. And if you smoke all the time, it's probably not bothering you, but it causes you not to sell your house at a top dollar. And so if you're going to sell your house, and you're going to, you need to stop smoking inside the house or even near it. Um,
Right.
because even outside on the balcony or whatever, people are out there smoking. Alaska, a lot of people smoke marijuana and everything outside, because it's a big thing now. And it's like, you can't do that outside because it's still going to be all in the walls and all that. And so there's a system to getting it ready. And I can't tell you how many sellers are just like, oh, it's not that big a deal, I'm just going to paint. No, there's a system you're going to have to do. And it's going to cost a little bit more money than just a regular paint job to get the smell out of there. And same with carpet and all of that. But it's going to take a lot of money off of what you're going to get if you don't get that cleaned up and get it ready. So if you're going to be selling soon, that's what you're going to work on: your flooring, your carpet, your walls. So
Yeah,
that was,
no, that's a big one.
yeah. And I do tell people, make sure that your air conditioner or your HVAC, your whole HVAC system is checked out. Make sure it's good to go. Those are just little things that you need to make sure of. And if you have any kind of a, rat problem, mice problem, or even mold, that's something you want to check in your crawl space. In Alaska, we have that a lot. So like your crawl space, your attic, go check for those things, because those little spots, those things are going to get called up on the home inspection. And so you need to go and get somebody to, do their fog thing and get rid of that. You need to do that in advance. Start looking at those things if you're going to get your house on the market.
And that's sort of that reminds me of another thing. And that is like here in Arizona, when you're listed, if you're trying to sell your house and it's during the hotter months, don't turn the AC off. When it's hotter inside the house than it is outside, people are not going to walk through your house. They're going to open the door and they're going to leave. So you need to keep, even though you might be gone and you might be in Alaska or in Minnesota or wherever, because you're not here in the summer and you don't want to pay high electric bills, you're going to need to keep the house comfortable, because people are not going to want to walk through and look at it. They're going to be turned off when they walk in, it's hot.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the reverse in Alaska. It'd be, you want to keep your heater on. You don't want people to walk in there and be colder than they are outside. So
There is nothing like frozen pipes and you can't close because somebody didn't keep the heat on. That's a big
yeah,
deal. Or you see people
yeah,
that don't even move in right away, and they just think, oh, everything's okay, or they don't turn the utilities on or whatever, or move them over. That's not good, especially when it's freezing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So but that's a huge deal for showing. You want to make sure that it's comfortable in the house when people come in. And you want to make it as easy as possible for it to be shown, because, you know, agents, if it makes it difficult for the agent to show it, they're not going to show it. And I realize some luxury homes and stuff, the higher end, you most of the time the agent has to be there, but it's just you need to try to be as accommodating as you can. I saw someone at a listing and it said only can be shown on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 4, and Saturdays from 10 to 12 or whatever. Life doesn't work that way. We get a buyer, and the buyer wants to see it now, and if it can't see it now or in the near future, they're moving on to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely need to be a team player with your realtor for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I haven't seen that in a while, but I do see that like on when you have renters, And
Yeah.
I tell my sellers, if you can let your renters go before you put it on the market, it's so much better because, you know, I'm just saying there, and I've seen it where renters are nice and they're helpful. But in my experience, usually they don't want to move and they don't want you inconveniencing them. And I've seen them do so much bad stuff trying to not for it to not to sell. So if
Oh
you
yeah.
can move them out, that is definitely the way to go.
Oh, I had a really bad situation with a renter that wouldn't leave, and we've actually like had to go and help him move out because and if we hadn't done that, he would have never left. I mean, he was actually being evicted. I mean, it was just terrible. He almost caused the seller to lose the deal, and it was like by a hair that she didn't lose that deal. So it just complicated the whole mess. Um, so yeah, renters, and if you can get them out before, so much better.
I've had it where I had a client that was a hoarder and I had to help pack her. I was like, no, we're going to get you out of here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I should have hired a therapist. I told myself, I said on these podcasts, I'm going to find somebody who specializes in helping people get rid of things, and especially people who hoard things, because, I was like, man, because I tell you, this is the hardest thing trying to get something on the market when they invite you in and they have like, just a pathway, but everything's up to here on both sides going through. And everything is like this in every part of their house. And
Yep.
you see it. We do see this a lot. And yeah. And so I told myself, man, we got to find somebody. So if you guys know somebody out there who specializes in that kind of stuff, helping people who hoard things or can't let things go, I definitely would love to have them on, because I think that would be, help people. You know what? Not just people who have that much stuff, where it's stacked up to the ceilings, but even to just uncluttering your life all the time, every year or all the time, like once a month, or if you buy this, get rid of this or that. And I'll tell you what I tell my clients a lot too, is that every year find something change, like maybe this year you're going to change out your faucets, or this, you're going to paint your bathroom. So if every year that you live in your house, you're doing something to it, just even if you just do one thing, by the time you do have to sell, it's not like, oh my God, a complete overhaul. But if you need that, I still help people do that. We can renovate your home or whatever and get you connected to people like that. And so can Peggy. So
Yeah.
no matter what state it is, we can find you somebody who can help you with that.
And
Um,
yeah, I have a friend. I have a girlfriend from college, and she just retired, and she told me, and she has 3 homes in South Carolina. And she told me it's going to take her 2 years just to go through her things in her house to get organized. And I think, I don't know if I've never been in her house, but I think she's somewhat of a sort of a hoarder. And so, but it's going to take her 2 years. And I do, when my clients are moving, when they're selling and they're packing up and they're, doing all that. And I know how frustrated and how much work it is. I always think when I move, like I haven't moved that many times, but the last time I moved, every time I move, I think all realtors should move often because we forget how hard it is. It's
Yeah.
really stressful. It's so much work. And, we try to have compassion and of course, but so many times, so many realtors like, you better be out of the house by that day, da, 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 and they don't realize it's an emotional, physical, exhausting time, and it is emotional. Sometimes they're leaving the home where their babies grew up, and so it's very enlightening to me when I have to move. And I think I moved here to this house in 2019. So it's been 6 years. I always say realtors need to move every 5 years just so that we remember how hard it is. It is. It's a pain. It's a pain in the neck.
Oh, I know. I lived in the same house for 14 years. I'm one of those kind of people who just stay forever. And then when I moved, I was like, oh my God, where did I get all this stuff? And the
I
cross,
know.
oh my God. I was like, oh man, if I didn't move, I could have left that there for my kids when I die. I think my kids would probably
Yeah.
hire somebody and get it out and burn it or something. Oh my God, my mom. I mean,
And
thinking
then,
about CrossFit, like when was the last time you were in there? I mean, some of that stuff was in there when my kids are little. I'm like, I have baseball gloves in there from when they're like 9 years old.
so true. And I listed a house on the west side in Glendale. I think it's been about 2 years now. And it was an elderly couple. The husband was already in a rehab home, and the wife, and it was a 2-story home. And the wife was trying to sell, and her brother was helping her. And it was overwhelming. She wasn't great in her health either, but we had an estate sale, sold a bunch of her stuff, and emptied it out, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, like a week before closing, she says to me, I forgot I have stuff in the attic. And I'm like, what? I said, how could you forget that you have stuff in the attic? She goes, because I don't even know what's up there. She says, I haven't been there in so many years because at some point you can't go up there, because whatever, you get older. And I have things in my attic, and I made a note to myself, I don't even feel safe climbing up that ladder now. And so I'm like, I need to get rid of everything up there because I don't know what's up there, and just crap that obviously I don't need it because it's up there and I don't even know it's up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you forget, and there will be a point that if you stay in your house that long, that you won't be able to go up there or go down to the crawl space to get all that. So I think, and it's amazing how fast things accumulate. Like I've only been here 6 years, and I know I already have to purge. I saw something on Instagram or something that said, once a week, go through your house and pick 5 things that you can get rid of. And I try to do that, but I get busy and forget. But we just accumulate so much. And for me, it's a lot of it is so much paper. It's just a lot.
I have a trash can that I bought specifically, and then I bring it in and I go, oh, okay, so I'm going to get rid of so many things before the cleaning lady comes. So every week I bring this trash can in, and I just put things in there, clothes, whatever, and then I just ask her to take it to Goodwill. And so just trying to declutter my life, because I, buy things in clothes and fashion and stuff like that. But then things change. And if you haven't used it in so long, I mean, I tell you, I have heels that I've had for like over 10 years and I still haven't worn some of them. And I have clothes like that. I don't know about you, but I have slacks there. I'm like, oh man, I went to Dillard's and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna look so cute in them. And then I'm like, get them home. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I look so cute in them. But like it was a trend thing. And then you're like, you're not wearing it anywhere. But then it's like, you don't want to get rid of it because it has a tag on it, but then you should just get rid of it.
And I especially
Yeah.
when I go and shop and bring something new in, then I try really hard to take something out of my closet.
Yeah.
And I have 2 bags next to my closet. One of them is for, like, here we have a couple of really good consignment stores. And so if it's something that's new and I think it would sell, I put it in the consignment bag. And then the other bag is my Goodwill. And I just put that in there and I just wait till they fill up. And then when they fill up, I go take them. But still, that's not enough. I mean, there's just so
Probably
much
a good
more stuff.
idea. You do see people who have like, they put their plastic. I don't do this, but don't be beating me up because I don't. I don't have like, well, it's also just me and the dogs, but I don't have like something for my plastic containers or my water bottles or whatever, like I don't separate all that, but people do that. But I do think it's a good idea that if you have something, out in the garage that you just says, oh, this is for like Goodwill or whatever. And then that way you're not like re-putting it in the drawer after your kids, oh, you put it on your kids or yourself and you're like, oh, I don't like this way this looks. It's better for you to, on your way out, to put it in the garage in the Goodwill than for you to put it back in the drawer, because that's what we'll do. We'll put it back in the, in the back of the closet or in the drawer. And then it just, yeah.
Yeah, I find that if I put it in the bag, if I take it out of my closet and put it in the bag, then I no longer want it. But if I
Right.
leave it in the closet and start to doubt it, then it just stays there and then I'm like, maybe I'll wear it one day. And then it stays there. I just have to take it out, put it in the bag and stop thinking about it.
I've had a lady, and I've told this on my podcast before, where I had a lady at 2 of my SPF events, which is my spiritually, physically, financially fit with Bacon. Even though I just went public with this past month, it's always been there for 5 years now. But so this lady's taught at 2 of my events, and she does unclutter, and she taught us about not only just uncluttering your house, and she had it where you have a basket at the end of your stairs, and so this is not like uncluttering, but she'll say before you go upstairs, so you just go one time, things that you need to take upstairs, you just put in this basket. So then when you go upstairs, you just take it up there. So she has systems that can help you like that. And then she was talking about getting rid of different things in your house. She teaches that, and she can help you. So there's actually people out there that can help you unclutter your house if you're having troubles of going, I got all this and it looks like a lot, because it does. After a while, you live somewhere, especially if you live somewhere 15, 20 years. I know some people live in their house 30 years and it's overwhelming of all the different things. And if you just take one room at a time, that's what I tell people, especially when I meet people who have just too much or a lot of stuff. Let me not say too much, because everybody's different on what they like and what they want. But I tell them, just focus on one room and try to focus on one that's going to be easy, because in that way you get that one done and you feel like you won something. But if it's too much, there are people you can hire. There are cleaners and different people who can pack you up and pack each room according to how you want. So, but I would say focus on one thing at a time. And they also have like pods and things you can put outside, and just slowly put things in there as you're packing up, as you're getting ready. So if you're like a couple of months out, this is probably good things that you need to start doing, or a few months out.
Because look at my friend. She's like saying it's going to take her 2 years to tackle it. And she
going now.
She even she has so much clutter everywhere that it's hard to function. Like she has, I don't know how many unread messages and how many unread texts, and she has no room on her phone for more photos because she has so much. So all that stuff is fine. I'm not judging anyone. I'm not judging her, but it just doesn't help you have. I believe that all that clutter messes your head and it just doesn't allow you to have as much happiness and joy, because it's too busy, it's too messy.
Well, you always feel like you have something else to do. And the more stuff you have, the more you have to clean, and always this, and it's a lot. And
it's a lesson. It's less is more. Less is more. Less is more.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Look at my office is super cluttered. My desk is super cluttered right now, but it is definitely, when I can clean up and I just think more clearly, I'm more effective. I'm better at what I do when I clear it up a little bit. But we got off on this subject mainly because if you're going to sell, it's easier if you start doing this even before you're ready to sell, right? You just start doing it so that when the day comes that you want to sell, you You don't have to wait 2 years.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap things up. We got 2 minutes left, but the last
I'm
thing I
going to
wanted
take
to
a
ask
picture.
you, we have done we have dealt a lot with scammers and stuff like that. Have you had anything that you could warn people about that's happened to you? Just to give everybody a heads up, and you know,
Well, we constantly get, like, I get from my brokerage, somebody gets into somehow the accounts and we'll get a text that says your broker wants you to give him some, or it'll be a text that say, hi, this is Sandy, and I need you to send me money, or I need you to send me a gift card. We get a lot of that. And then of course the title companies, everything's more encrypted now because there is fraud going on. So you have to be very careful. The biggest thing I had one time is I had somebody call me and they said, you missed your, what is it when you're supposed to go to court, a deposition, or you were supposed to be in court and you missed it. And so it's related to this property. And they gave me the address, and the address was a property I had actually sold. And it said, it wasn't about you, but there was some issue and they wanted you to be there and you weren't there. So you need to pay this fine, or else, we're going to come pick you up. And, that was actually the second time that I got something like that. The first time I got something, it said, they called me and they said, we're about to turn your electricity off. And this was like during 2021, when I was super busy, and I thought I had paid all my bills, but they made me doubt it, because I'm so busy. Maybe I missed a payment or something. And they said, you haven't paid your electricity bill. And I had a very sick dog at home at the time. And they said, we're going to cut you off unless you pay this bill right now. And the only way, you can't pay it online. You have to go to a CVS or a Walgreens and pick up a gift card. And then and then I picked up on that. And it was like, no, I paid my bill, but they'll catch you. And in fact, both of those times, one of those times I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I know you're fake. And they said, okay, we'll see you in a minute. We're about to come get you. Click. I mean, they like really pound. So just be careful when people
try to scare you and they do bad stuff. Yeah.
Especially when they say you need a gift card. I mean, that's a key. I've seen a lot of those situations that way, is you have to pay on a gift card. And I get a lot of spam and stuff on my email. So there's so much out there that you just have to be careful.
And if you have a doubt, hang up. Don't go by the phone number they have or their phone number. Go call the person. Go look it up and call the courthouse, call the police
Right.
department, whatever. You have a doubt, go call them. I mean, we've heard from different people, when I ask this question, that some of them just go pay it. They're like, okay, I just, don't want
I
problems.
think one of the times I did it, I actually called the police department. They said, no, that's not us. Yeah. And you just, and also, like, when you look at an email, like, it'll say, maybe they'll say this is PayPal or whatever. And then you look at their email address, and their email address is not PayPal. It's some weird thing. The other thing we get a lot of, I'm sure, I don't know about you, but we get a lot of buyers or suspected buyers who, on WhatsApp, on WhatsApp, only communicate with me on WhatsApp. I actually had one guy who, I know we have to wrap it up, but he contacted me via email, and he told me he wanted to sell this property. And I looked up the property, and it was under that person's name, and it was a high-end piece of land. And so I went through a couple things, and then I did a market analysis and everything. I sent it to him, and then I said, I need identification. And so he actually sent me a copy of a driver's license with their name on it. And I called my broker, and I'm like, I don't know, something just doesn't feel right here.
Yeah.
And he says, well, why don't you contact the title company and have them do a search or whatever, and then get a phone number for this guy. So I ended up calling the real guy, and he goes, no, that's not me. And I'm like, I have a picture of you. Are you bald? He goes, no, I'm not bald. So, I mean, it went pretty far. It was pretty credible for a long time. And it wasn't. It was fraud.
Yeah, and I would say, and I had the title company tell me, because I had somebody who hired me or whatever to sell their land, and then we found out it was all fraud, it was a lie, and so and mine came from a referral, and a good referral,
Wow.
and so I had no idea that this person was bad, and so the title told me that we need to. If you don't know them, you have to meet them. You need to meet them and see it, because they're using people's driver's license. They're faking it to get it. I think it's called Blue Notary, or get the title company to use their notary to notarize your listing agreement if they are out of town or out of state. I have sold to people. I've sold to military people where I've went and searched for them a house and picked one out for them, and they bought it, and then they moved here. And I do that all the time for people. That's just like, it's a very common thing. So we're not shy of that, because we do that for people, but we have to be careful. I will tell you that I totally got rid of my WhatsApp. And if you email me and say, oh, I only text by WhatsApp, okay, yeah, well, I'm not your realtor. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
I haven't gotten rid of it because I have family in South America and that's what they
okay.
use. But if they say only talk to me on WhatsApp, I'm like, bye
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for having me. This was great.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. I like to know about the different states and what's going on with everybody right now. And we're just in this weirdly weird spot, and everybody's not sure what to think about everything. But you know what? We're still buying and selling, and so it might not be at the market where everybody's way up here, but we're also not way down there. We're not
Right.
sure, sales are not everywhere. So, go buy your house while you don't have to fight nobody, because they drop
It's
the.
more of a normal market, actually.
I know, yeah, and
Yeah.
normal is good, because then you can
Yeah.
take your time
Normal.
and go look for a house, and you don't got to fight people or sell. Well, you
Yeah.
guys, sorry about that. My assistant is calling me. Well, you guys have an amazing day, and thank you so much for being on, Peggy. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
weather.
You
You said it
too.
was like 60 degrees, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's sprinkling though, but that's fine. We like it when it rains.
There you go.
Well, have a great week too.
Yes, you too. When I'm in Arizona, I'll look you up. I think I'm going to be there
Definitely.
for February. I'll have to holler at
Oh,
you.
good. Well, call me. All
Okay.
right. Thank you so much.
All
Bye
right.
bye.